Dale, I got a surprise for you.
Jesus Christ. Is it your birthday?
You love surprises so much.
Wow, what is this?
How you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Doing good.
Oh, I see
That's
what you're
the
doing
deck
here.
lid. That's the Harry Gant deck lid.
Well, this is we're totally surprised by this, and we've had somebody come. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, and what you brought?
Yeah.
So back when you had Andy on, my name got used in vain about
Did it?
the
Andy
deck lid.
Petrie when he was on, right?
Yeah, right. So he used my name in vain, and so Andy and I basically was locked in a room at Skull Bandit Racing at Leo Jackson Motorsports for about a month building deck lids.
Yeah. What's your name?
Dean Jones.
Dean Jones.
Yep.
I remember him telling us about you. And so he put you back in the room and said, come up with something.
No.
No?
How it started was that, Andy got part of the story right about the test. We went to test at Daytona, came back, and the motors, he said the motors were not like they should be. And so he said, we started Brainstorming. It was on a Monday morning when they got back from the test. I can remember it well because it was rainy out. And so he says, I want to be able to drop this car down and put air to the shocks and be able to make the shocks go up and down. That's how we're gonna get faster. That's what we're gonna do. And I was a shop foreman there, and I said, Andy, that's just way too much work. Hiding all the air lines through the roll bars and all that stuff is just like, that's not easy. Mm-hmm. So I had this idea about the actuator to be able to move the spoilers blades up and down. I said, your wife Sherry, Andy's first wife Sherry, I said she's got one on her Delta 88 because she had a French, a manufacturer's car at the time that she was driving through Oldsmobile because we had the Oldsmobile deal. There's no cell phones, and he calls home and leaves a message because Sherry's at the grocery store on a Monday morning and it's raining outside. I said, so he calls her, she gets home and comes to the shop. He tells her to come to the shop. So we pull Sherry's Oldsmobile Delta 88 in the body shop, and we dismantle the deck lid to pull the actuator down out of the trunk. That when you set the deck lids down, the actuator pulls the trunks down and latches them, right? Andy's flipping out about that. I said, this is what we need. This is what we got to have. So we ended up calling local Chevrolet dealership. I said, I need two actuators for, I don't care what it's off of. This actuator, it's a Delta 88, it'll be fine. So we get that, and so then the wheels start turning about how are we going to make this thing work. So the first thing we do is we get a deck lid back in this back room, and this back room has got two keys. I've got a key, Andy's got a key. None of the other guys in the shop can get in this. We're brainstorming how we're going to make this happen. So the first thing is the blades. So because of the way this thing is built, the long spoiler went down the center of the car back then, so you had two blades. So you got to make both of them. You got to make both of them
move.
work.
Yep.
Both of them move. We end up building blades with flaps, and we cut slots in the back of the deck lid, and we're sliding it inside to the trunk, right? And we're going to figure out the mechanism. And Andy, where he came in, really, he figured out the quarter-inch Heims joints and rods to be able to hook it to the actuator. And like he said in the interview with you, he had to make a stop on it because the actuator was moved too much, right? We end up have to mill areas in each blade for a piano hinge that we're going to pop rivet to the face of the blade. They're in there. We get the actuators going in there. The next big challenge for us was the back of the spoiler, because what do you do? Because the back of the spoiler, you're actually welding it to the blades and then bolting it to the deck lid. Andy's he's sweating it a lot. We're going to get busted with this thing.
It's a big deal.
And I said, Andy, I kept telling him, kept reassuring him, they're just not that smart, Andy. I'm telling you, they're just not that smart. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we get the thing all built, and we've figured out the wiring. You can see the wiring hanging out of it. And so we got our hinges hidden on the car back then because it's a speedway car. The big thing at the end of this thing was how are we going to figure out this back plate to make it look like these back plates are attached to the front blades. Mm-hmm. And so I said, that's no problem, Andy. I will use a silicone gun, and I'll stitch this silicone beads on here just like
a weld.
It's like a weld, and you can feel it right now. It's rubber, and so the blade can move back and up and down. But there's 3 hinges on each one of these that are pop riveted to here, pop riveted to the blade. And so how do you hide those? Because Bondo doesn't stick to aluminum.
Okay.
So I took, first of all, JB Weld and put JB Weld over those to be able to because it would stick to aluminum. JB weld would, and then I bonded. The bondle would stick to the
Wow.
JB weld, right, to get it so you can't see it.
Can't see it. Did you go to the track when the spoiler went to the track?
Yep. And so my job, when the car goes to the track, I'm the only one to touch the deck lid, because when you go to the racetrack in Daytona, the first thing you do, you're up on Jackson's, you got to pull the fuel cells out. They want to check them fuel cells, right? So if a NASCAR official starts to hinge that thing and feels the weight of it, it's all over right then.
You could tell.
Oh, this is heavy. It's heavy with those actuators and the stuff
Gotcha.
that's in it,
Yeah.
and the Bondo that's on it.
Yeah.
It's heavy. So one of the things that Andy didn't tell you about that day with the deck lid and Gary Nelson the first day on the job was we did get busted. We got busted. And so Leo created these things, we called them fuzz balls. They were a copper ball cupped out, and they went between the jack screw plate and so it could basically compress.
Yeah. The frame of the car.
No, just the plate and the spring.
Okay.
And so we put those on there, and I'm telling Andy, why do we need those things? We just need to know how long we need to have the spoiler down to run fast enough to win the pole. Because if we run the spoiler all the way down on the racetrack,
lap.
we're going to be a second and a half faster than
Yeah.
anybody. And they're going to be all over it then, right? So he's bound and determined he's going to run the fuzzballs, and it falls under the category of we'll do this, and if they catch that, we'll be okay with them catching that.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that there's that mindset, right? So we have the fuzzballs on there, and we're too low when we come back through for inspection, because it's with Gary Nelson in place. This is the first time they're checking heights after you qualify.
Yeah.
Right, and they're in the wheel well looking there trying to figure out why is that car low, right? And he finally sees the copper things that are smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I honestly I can't tell you if Andy got fined, or I don't know. We qualified fourth fastest. So I mean that the whole day there was kind of fun for me, until after we qualified and after they found the fuzzballs, what we call the fuzzballs, flattened out, we got to put the cars back in the trailers, because that was an error when we could put the cars in. So Andy said there's one deck lid, there's two. The Bud Shootout car, or the Busch Clash car, had a power spoiler on it. He's got it. This is the one off the actual 500,
Yeah, okay.
the 500 car. So we built two more. I had to build two more stock deck lids, because if we did get caught, we had to have backups. So after that fiasco was over with Gary Nelson and the fuzzballs, Hoss Berry was our truck driver, and he's the best truck driver in NASCAR in my opinion. He drives for NASCAR now. Anyway, we get the cars in there, and I'm up there the only one
Swapping
them. Yeah, and it happened to just be a Sunday. We qualified on Sundays back then. Sunday afternoon, it's 85 degrees in that hauler, and I'm up there sweating.
I bet.
And I'm the littlest guy there.
fit.
The only guy that can fit. So we changed him out, and he says, "We got to get him off there. We got to get him off there. I can't take it no more. I can't take it more."
He didn't even want them on the cars in the haulers.
No, after he got busted
get
with the
him out.
fuzzballs,
Yeah.
we
Where did you put them? Up in the cab?
the other deck lids.
Yeah, the ones you took off, the power deck lids. You
yeah,
stick
yeah.
them in the cab of the truck or something.
Yeah. I mean,
so
that's why I'm able to bring this to
Yeah.
you. As soon as when you interviewed Andy and you said, "I want to have that stuff to him in that interview," I said, I got to get a hold of Matt Dillner.
Yeah.
I got to get him.
You got it. You got the one.
I got the one.
So what do you do, Dean? You just go around showing off this piece of art?
This thing
This is like you're
no,
an art exhibit that you go around?
No, I don't. No, people have. I've mentioned this to people, and they say it needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I said, it's I mean, I know Winston Kelly, you know, and so you pick up the phone, call Winston. Hey, Winston, can we do this? It's not my point. I'd rather Andy do that, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather. But it's been a loft at my building at my home ever since 1992.
It's a cool piece for sure.
Yeah,
Really
but
nice.
I wanted you to have it.
Oh, we're gonna keep it?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh man.
You said you wanted it.
We'll hang it up in here. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll hang it up, but it's yours. We're not taking
Yeah.
it. Listen, there's things in here that don't belong to us, but we'll proudly display it,
Yeah.
but give you all the credit.
Yeah,
For sure. Well, we appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Good
for sure.
surprise, Matthew. Hey, guys, I'm here to tell you 3 reasons why I love our sponsor, Tire Pros. Number 1, Tire Pros loves cars as much as I do. Number 2, they have great service. Number 3, they're committed to getting you back out on the road. Plus, they've got this really cool logo.
Dale, that's 4 reasons.
And they have over 600 locations, 24/7 roadside assistance, a great selection, and a best-in-class tire warranty. Tire Pros, love the drive. If you like that conversation, you ought to listen to the entire podcast because the Dale Jr. Download is available on all major podcast platforms.